Hello everybody, and Jess here, and welcome back to Nanatsu no Maken ga Shihai Suru, episode 10. Episode 10, so two-thirds through the season, because it's supposed to have 15 episodes, kinda sorta. 13 episodes of the main show and 2 OVAs, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the OVAs will simply serve the role of a movie or otherwise a 40-50 minute final episode, kind of like what I'm still waiting for, which is Oyukyumi no Kaina movie, which is supposed to wrap up the whole story, kind of like Crown Handler movies from Princess Principal. Although Crown Handler was essentially a way to condense 12 episodes, not condense, release 12 episodes as 6 double-length episodes. So it's not necessarily a movie, it's not necessarily like a big, huge finale of the series, kind of, sort of only. Regardless, in the previous episode, we spent some quality time with our characters. Pete got a lot of character building and a lot of development. Right? He now knows how to fight a little better. Almost managed to score a hit on Chella's cousin, who's still not listed on the list of characters for some reason, by the way. And even got some praise from Tullio. So that's something, right? That's something decently large. And he also got a bit of guidance from Shella on tapping into his womb for more magical energy. Which is a thing, apparently. Apparently it is. And besides that, the latter part of the episode was essentially just a good old school adventure through the dungeon. Looking at all sorts of different monsters who live there, meeting with a merchant, meeting a whole cast of colorful characters, snacking on some monster meat because they can, because they are wizards and witches, and some, poisoned meat is not going to kill them, so why not take the risk? Escaping from some traps, having some fun, having some funny haha moments, and of course, everything culminated in that big moment of creating a brotherhood, essentially, although not really. Not really. The Sword Rose, as Nanao says, we take no vows. So it wasn't necessarily a birth of any sort of a brotherhood. It wasn't any oath of allegiance or oath of everlasting friendship or anything of the sort. It was just this particular moment that is worth remembering through the Sword Rose. But at the same time, I guess they also figured out a name for their group, and that is Sword Roses. What's next? Well, Oliver has his plans of exploring the dungeon. Pete has his plans of continuing his training. Katie has her plans of raising magical fauna in their little hideout for whatever purpose it might be. I don't know, I'm not sure, we'll see about that, I assume. And we also got a little bit of an ominous line from Tullio saying that he's withdrawing, he forfeits their entire competition, their entire tournament, and he says, and he tells Olivier that you should be careful because there are some strong people taking part in it, so you be on the lookout. So that is a Chekhov's gun. If I've ever seen one, not even a Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's gun is something that we don't really expect to come into play, and then it comes into play. It's more like just whatchamacallit. Fuck, I forgot the word again. Pre whatever, setting things up. It's a piece of a setup, I guess. A setup for perhaps today's episode, perhaps the next one. We will see about that. Also, one thing very much worth mentioning is that even Tullio himself went through some character growth, went through some development. He decided to now also learn the proper fighting styles, which is great, which is genuinely great. Usually in anime, it is the protagonist who goes through character growth, and even then, not always. Maybe some close secondary characters, maybe the harem members of the protagonist, if at all. But to have a character who's pretty much the tertiary character, not even a secondary one. You could say that Guy is a secondary character. Tullio is tertiary, if not a background character at all. And having him go through some character growth, that's a good shit. That's the good shit. I love it. So, what can we expect from today's episode? In the first frame, I see. Is that a photo? I think it's a photo of some pieces of wood with a filter applied on them, not like actual drawn pieces of firewood, but regardless. So I assume they are still in Katie's hideout. There has been no time skip, or maybe there was a time skip and this is the second or the third time they are inside. What then? I don't know. We could continue our leisurely time for a little bit, have Oliver go on some expedition in the dungeon, in the labyrinth, go check out some interesting places. We could accompany Katie as she tries catching various magical fauna and doing God knows what to them. Or we could just jump straight into the meat of it and have someone challenge Olivier, or perhaps Nanao, or perhaps Chella. We haven't seen Chella fight yet, so it would be interesting to see her being challenged by someone. Right, the previous episode ended with Chella's cousin catching whiff of them, of our main group being somewhere in the labyrinth. So perhaps she will try to challenge them. Maybe Shella, maybe Pete, Nanao or Oliver. I don't think so. She has no beef with them, and she seems mostly motivated by exactly that, by very petty and personal reasons. So either her long-term rivalry with Shella will come into play, and that will be who she chooses to challenge, or it will be Pete because Pete reads more books, which is still to date the most ridiculous reason to have beef with anybody, but I kind of love it. It really shows just how petty of a person she is. It's great. Maybe there is some deeper reason to it. Maybe she's always been shunned by members of her family, and now she wanted to, to show her uncle that, hey, uncle, I read your stuff, and then she was overshadowed by a completely random person from outside of the family. Maybe there's something like that, but so far we haven't heard anything about it, so there is not really any point speculating, right? Right, because the title of this episode is Queen and Knight, something along those lines. A lady and her knight, I don't know, something thereabouts. So most probably Shella's cousin and Faye, her lackey. Or could be Katie and Nanao. Could be Shella and Oliver. I don't fucking know. Could be anybody really. Right. I think I should just stop talking. It's been 10 minutes already and we're wasting time, and we should just start watching it. How does that sound? To do that, you will of course need your subs to follow along with me. I'm going to need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. Can you see my whole head? You can. And I'm gonna have to ask you guys for your support. Support the channel monetarily on Patreon, link down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, cost you nothing, helps a lot. And with all of that out of the way, we can start watching episode 10 of Nanatsu no Maken ga Shihai Suru in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, that is a photo of firewood that's been filtered in Photoshop. Okay, so no time skip. We just continue from where we left off. I mean, kinda. Oh, she's all tuckered out with all the excitement of this day. Even Faye just doesn't take her seriously. And who is this ominous person? Who might you be? It's not Alvin. It's not Cyrus. Is it Cyrus? No. I don't think it's Cyrus. Is our main group gonna have to save Stacy from some sort of a predicament? Probable. I'm trying to figure out if he even is shown in the opening. But I don't think I see him anywhere. Which means he's probably just a one-off character. Not necessarily someone we're gonna have to... It's not him, is it? He looks very similar, so maybe? I'm not sure. He has this, like, Wolverine hairstyle and the facial hair. I don't know, maybe. Yeah? Where's the light coming from, by the by? I mean, not like she had the necessity to try it. I'm assuming it triggers when you're in like dire straits. Yeah. And then we can fight using both spells and swords. Another trap you get yourself into. Oh no, Katie brought a friend over. Yeah. Of course, Katie brought a friend. Troll is in the dungeons. How'd he get out of the cage? Oh. Hello, Vera. The reformed Vera. Kinda sorta, I assume. And Pete completely fucking missed everything. Tullio? Oh, Vera, hello. I thought maybe Tullio also joined us. Oh, okay, the hand just... Okay. Sure, we have a mascot now. We Adams family now. So she can continue her work. At least in part. True. I mean, yeah, he's no longer in a cage. He doesn't even need to say anything. Okay, we have another friend. We have the seventh member of our group. I expected it to be Tullio. I expected it to be maybe Vera, maybe Ophelia, but no. Marco is the seventh member. I told you there's something to the seven spellblades. Yeah. Does she have a new hand? Or is her... Or does she not have it and it's just melee hand? I think we've seen both of her hands at this point, but not both at the same time. So it's probably regrown, but without the eye? Ah. As if they weren't talking about you already. Okay, so there is multiple floors. Probably more dangerous. And the next layer is probably a desert, then some icy plains. Okay. Whomst. Oh, hello, Stacy. Of course. Hey, Marco, not so fast. True. Okay. So she no longer has beef with Pete? Okay, so that's the title. At this point, you probably also have decent teamwork with Shella, so shouldn't be that much of an issue. Okay, Shella and Nanao then. I thought it's gonna be Shella and Oliver. Whomst? Oh, this guy. He's the one who defeated Tullio? Yeah, he's the one who defeated Tullio. And there's no facial hair. Okay, Albright. Not Cyrus, not Alvin. Just a rando who's gonna get folded by Oliver. Nobody important. I mean, Oliver kinda wants to be a nobody, so it suits him. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. Okay, Stacy can fight Shella and Faye can fight Oliver. So essentially 3 1v1s instead of a 3v3. And since when do you get to decide where combat takes place? Okay, glad to have you, Marco. Shella stays winning. Okay, so this seems to be like the unwritten rule. Why not 1v1 then? Okay, is that gonna be the problem here? And we have our pairings. The fact that Stacy's team doesn't have full teamwork and Oliver's team has full teamwork. Okay, a little bit of a mix-up. Well, no longer. Not gonna be easy. Yeah, I'd like to hear that as well. Okay, classic reason. Oh, just fragor her. So he is stronger at. Okay. uh, I thought that maybe he's stronger at spellcasting than sword fighting, but no, he just bails and will probably use some, guerrilla tactics. Can't ghost ground if there's no ground. That's some strong spellcasting. Oh, he's popping a vein. Spellblade time. No, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. That has to sting because that's a big pain point for Oliver. What is going on? Physical strengthening? Okay, physical strengthening. That's cool. But you probably shouldn't be revealing your hand readily like that. Underground, yes. Sacrifice your life. Okay, a little bit of a backstory. Okay, Stacy saving him. Okay, a classic story. Tale as old as time. Okay, so he's some sort of a beast folk, I assume. And as is usually the case, beast folk have no rights. They're property. Okay, moonlight, and he's going to turn into a werewolf. Okay, that's cool. Artificial moonlight. I thought he's just a dog boy, but no, he's a werewolf. And they have a combo attack. That's great. High resistance, high speed. High defense. Yeah. You're gonna have to strike harder. And more often, probably. Aim for Stacy. Okay, so that's your hang up. You feel like you're not being accepted by the family, so I was correct. And it explains her beef with Pete. Win victory. Sure. Why? Okay, so it like puts some strain on his body. Yep. Because she has beef with you. Apparently. Oh, that's another big reveal. An adopted child? A bastard child? No, if she's not her father's real daughter, then she must be adopted. Nothing, so tell us your gripe. Spellblade? No, not yet. Just slashing through magic. So the biggest kindness will be to respond the same way. Exactly. Also, the faster you end this battle, the less Faye has to suffer, so... Right? And we're ending. Of course. Just when it started getting good. And now I have to wait a week. That's the downside of being all caught up. I can't just download episode 11 that I didn't record on time. I wonder if I should maybe start watching seasonals after they've ended, like a season behind, stay a season behind, so that I can binge if need be, or at least like watch 2 episodes back to back. Probably not worth the exposure, the loss of exposure from weekly YouTube searches for a particular episode of the given anime. I don't know, I'm not sure. And the next episode is Duty. Okay. Faye's duty to Stacy? I don't know, maybe first thing that came to my mind. Shella's duty as an heiress of some big family? Okay, let's watch it again. Shall we? Yes, we shall. Shall I'll prove to you that I'm not just your replacement. What is that about? Crazy idea. Stacy is Shella's clone. I know, man. It seems crazy. It seems bonkers, but maybe I'm onto something. Like, we are dealing with a fantasy world of brain alteration in animals and shit like that, so why not cloning? Why not cloning? That's actually a good question. There we have it. Stacy is Michelle's clone. That would explain her saying she's a replacement. That would explain her saying that she's not the real daughter. Maybe, kinda, sorta. Now, they don't look similar whatsoever, pretty much. But, I mean, besides blonde hair and blue eyes, although are Stacy's eyes actually blue or are they green? Where are you, Stacy? No, they're green. Okay, so different eye color. So that theory doesn't quite work. Which means she's probably adopted, but what does she mean by being a replacement? Another possibility I can see is something along the lines of Shella being really sick and everybody prognosing her to die soon. So the Lord, the head of the family, adopted a child who looked similar so that he can have a daughter. But then it turned out that Shella can be cured. She got better, so Stacy was sidelined. That's the only other theory I can come up with that makes any sliver of sense. How do I even note it down? Shella was dying as a child, hence Stacy being adopted to be a replacement. But then, why is she so obsessed about her uncle recognizing her? Not recognizing her, but like accepting her. Shouldn't she be obsessed about her father accepting her and not her uncle? Wait. Sorry to skip so much forward and not go in order, but there is that flashback. This is not Shella's father. Shella's father has ringlets and is in general a good guy. And then later we have another flashback to, again, not Shella's father. So is this Stacy's father and Shella is his niece or something, and Stacy's father treated his niece better than his daughter? But Stacy is not his real daughter. Also, where are the ringlets? I thought it's hereditary, but nobody fucking has them in those flashbacks. Besides Stacy, I guess a little bit. I don't fucking know what's going on. I need to wait a little bit more for the backstory. Okay. Early training. Okay, so Vera lost her left arm. Vera left hand, not arm, but hand. Vera left hand. I wanna see if she has a new left hand. And that's why I noted it down. You need to learn how to handle fighting with spells first. Eventually, spellcraft mixes with swordcraft, and the two become one. Spell swordcraft. And yeah, only when you get there, we become equal as mages. Only then, as dueling actually makes sense. Because we are equals. Because as it stands, Oliver can just use fly spell, hover in the air, and spam Tonitruses and Flammas and other shit like that at Nanao, and it wouldn't be fair. So of course, for both of them to be able to go 100% in that duel that Nanao really wants, they both have to stand on equal ground. I like it. This is actually a great way to motivate Nanao to learn spellcraft, right? You want your dream duel with both of us on equal footing going absolutely bonkers 100%, then we need to, set up some baseline. Also, she hasn't been able to use her Spellblade since then, which tells me that perhaps she that it's going to be like a last-ditch effort kind of thing. She's not going to be spamming her Spellblade every so often, but rather it will be something when there's literally no other way. Right? She's on a losing position. There is no possible way she can win that particular duel. Her hair turns white, she goes Super Saiyan, and she slashes through reality. Without having much control over where it actually happens, or rather, with having to wait for certain conditions to be met. Those conditions being in dire straits. She can't just activate it when fighting a training dummy or mock fighting Oliver or things like that, right? There has to be some actual danger to her life or perhaps to the lives of her loved ones. Chill down, Professor Quirrell. Troll is in the dungeons, literally, and Vera is kinda sorta rehabilitated. Her left arm is in her pocket. No, she has her left hand. She has her left arm unscathed, no problem. So she turned the cut-off hand into a familiar and she just regrew a new one. Okay, that's cool. I have my answer then, because I was wondering if she maybe just doesn't have a hand anymore, or maybe she has some magical technological one, or maybe her old arm, her old hand has actually been grafted back into place. But it seems if you lose a limb as a mage, you don't even necessarily need to retrieve that limb. Now, it's probably easier to reattach an arm or a leg, but if you can't, well, just regrowing it it's not much of an issue, which really is a testament to just how unkillable mages are in this world. Yeah, that's her hand. Cute, isn't she? Kinda, sorta. Pseudo-life form, melee hand. Investment in her future potential. Yeah, essentially, Vera's position is burned. She no longer has any sort of support from Darius. She is known for performing unethical experiments and whatnot, so it's not like she can go back to what she's been doing. So instead, she decided, okay, let's give my support, my workshop, and all of that to Katie and see where Katie goes with it. Katie has potential, she can communicate with magical beasts and whatnot. Maybe we should try a different approach, right? I can always go back to scrambling the brains of poor innocent animals if need be, but for now, as I recuperate, as I don't have as much influence, as much power, as many resources, I'll let Katie handle it. Let's see where it goes. That's cool. I like it. And yeah, when she's massively successful, I want to share in the gains, of course. And if Alta wants to take care of the troll herself, this is the place to do it. Absolutely. Much better place than in the cage. Marco, welcome to the team. And yes, we are absolutely all friends here. Fist bump. Fist bump. There we go. I expected anybody to become the 7th member of the party. I did not expect the troll. But it's a nice surprise. I like it. It's cool. And yeah, there's a closer entrance, but again, the labyrinth has a mind of its own. You cannot guarantee that this entrance will always be open, or that if it is open, that it will lead to the same place. So, you need to be able to get this deep on your own regardless. If you go through this entrance and it throws you onto the other side of the labyrinth, you need to be able to go back to your hideout from there. So it's a good test, absolutely. That's cool. I like it. If you intend to keep exploring down here, never let your guard down. I mean, probably a good advice. Second day of our search. What are they searching for even? For interesting magical fauna, I assume? Katie is not satisfied with bull mice and I don't know, those spiky things. I guess she wants some more exotic life forms in her lab. He makes a fine bodyguard, indeed. I'm sure this'll get people talking about us. Again, as if they aren't already. You're the protagonist group of this series. Of course they are talking about you. They probably have all sorts of weird nicknames for you. You're Oliver the King of Darkness. Nanao is Nanao the All-Powerful. Katie is, I don't know, Katie the Merciful or shit like that. It's always the case. It's always the case. We'll enter the labyrinth's second layer. So this labyrinth is essentially a dungeon. Or what would be a dungeon in a fantasy isekai, not necessarily isekai, but a fantasy show, right? Each layer, as they go deeper and deeper, they become more and more dangerous. They change a little. First layer is just a basic labyrinth. Second layer is a forest. Third layer might be a desert. Fourth layer, snowy plains. Fifth layer could be a marsh. Sixth layer, Dwemer ruins. Seventh layer, New York City. and so on and so forth. As you go deeper and deeper, it becomes more and more dangerous. Right, and I placed New York City the lowest. That was unintended. That was unintended. I don't know how true it is, but I don't know. I've never been in the US. Okay. Cool. So me calling this a dungeon and not a labyrinth every now and then can be justified. So that's cool. The environment gets bigger and more complex, so it probably also has like a pyramid shape, right? The lower layers become bigger and bigger. And the ecosystem expands, so that's good news for Katie, because she can bring in all sorts of weird animals. It's better to think of this as its own world, probably. Why were you waiting at the entrance to the second layer? I don't know. Marco is the best troll. He's a great bodyguard. He sees danger, he acts. Yes, you are very calm, Stacy. Me and Faye versus the two of you. They'll display a high level of teamwork, but then you will also display a high level of teamwork. It's been, quite some time that you've known each other. I believe it was mentioned that it's been like, 6 months or something thereabouts. So you probably also would work well together. Perhaps not quite as well as Stacy and Faye, who have been together since a very young age, but still. Yeah, to pit our 6 months together against all their years. Exactly. And here is this guy, Mr. Albright. I only know of his family. Albrights are famous for how many of their mages excel at combat. Okay, and he's the leading candidate, of course, with an obsession with strength to match. Follow me, I'll take you to the battlefield. No. And that's it. You can just say no. You have objections, let's not go to the second layer, just say no. Let's fight here. If you don't want to fight here, well, let's not fight. Simple enough. Who gets to decide when the fight is taking place? Shouldn't the fight take place right here and now? Maybe the place should be voted on? Maybe the challenger should decide the place, so in this case Stacy. Maybe the person challenged should decide the place. You're a random butting in on their fight and you suddenly get to decide the place? I have no clue why they're playing along with it. Now, sure, from the storytelling standpoint, getting to fight in an unknown terrain in a dangerous place, in a forest that gives possibilities, yada yada yada. I can see that, like, narratively speaking. But from the perspective of the characters, why did they agree to that? I don't know. Again, maybe it was explained better in the source material, probably was. From what you guys tell me in the comments under every single episode, there has been quite a lot of things who were touched upon much more in depth in the source material, which is to be expected, of course. This is an adaptation. Adaptations have their rights. So probably the same case here. And we are all going. A second layer, anti-lethality to have strength, of course. I was about to say that this is going to be the downfall of Albert, or whatever the fuck his name is. and Stacy's team, in that, sure, Stacy fights well alongside Faye, but Albert just doesn't play as a team, isn't a team player, but then they all split up, so it doesn't really make any difference. I'll fight you, Mr. Albright. Okay, not Albert Albright. Gotcha. Our first time fighting side by side. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand, but I would. Please tell me, I'm the poor viewer, confused as all fuck. Please tell me, Stacy, what's your beef? Don't explain it in the comments, by the way, because that would be like encroaching into the spoiler territory. It will probably be explained in full in the next episode, so you know, keep the spoilers. The two of them have both been trained in the reset style since they were little. And Faye, of course, escapes because he knows that he has no chance head on, at least not in his human form. Lanov style, Ghost Ground, Tonitrus. Yeah, Albright is a decent fighter. Very easy to provoke, though. Very easy to provoke. That's gonna come in useful. But also, he's a very good fighter. Regardless of whether he's easy to provoke or not. You're just doing what you learned in the textbook. Yes, but I learned it really fucking good. So here's a textbook slash. That's how you do it. Type of gravity control that affects your own body. Textbook just sliced your cheek open. Indeed. This is where the real duel begins. Absolutely. Begins and pauses because we never see them duel again in this episode. And apparently, Faye was a cub, puppy, whatever you want to call him, left alone, and Stacy took care of him. Who's this person? That's Stacy's father. Okay, so this is Stacy's father, and despite being Stacy's father, he seems to have favored Shella, his not daughter, I assume. I was just thinking I wanted a servant. This is classic. This is a classic. I mean, Renner and Climb in Overlord, right? And so many other examples in manga and anime. That's cool. I don't mind it. Absolutely not. It makes perfect sense. This is interesting, though. You're my owner. And also Stacy's father talking about taking him out of his misery. But also Faye being allowed to enroll. So there is something weird about non-human rights going on here. Because, okay, I am able to understand why trolls, goblins, unicorns, etc., would not have rights, would be seen more as animals than people, if they cannot speak, if they aren't fully sapient, right? I could understand the argument being made. Right? If goblins are just running around the forest doing ooga 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 with their clubs and bonking random travelers, I can understand them not being seen as people and not being given rights. Trolls, the same. They are probably seen as docile, strong humanoids, but unless given intelligence by people like Vera, they don't exhibit any intelligence of their own, or much intelligence at least. So again, I can see the point being made here. What about the case of Faye, though? Of a werewolf? He's sapient, he can speak, he's really no different than a human, except like weird hair that resembles ears, or maybe actually ears even, besides his ability to turn into a werewolf. And yet he doesn't seem to have human rights, in that his property, and just disposing of him like a sack of stray kittens isn't seen as anything bad. But at the same time, he was allowed to enroll in the academy. So where do like beast folk like him stay? Is it like a separate category? There are magical beasts, there is the beast folk, and there is the humans? Or is he categorized with the magical beasts? But because he's sapient, he's an exception, and the other werewolves like him? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it works exactly. Interesting. Very interesting case. Tell your guard dog to rip out the enemy's throat. Artificial moonlight. That's actually great. Why wait for full moon if you can just summon a full moon and turn your werewolf follower into his beast mode? I love it. I love how how Stacy just rides on his back. That's great. Hanging on for dear life. And yeah, that doesn't deal much damage because he's a werewolf. And then I'm sure Uncle will accept me. Who is she referring to as uncle? Because there's like a custom to refer to your adoptive father as an uncle sometimes. At least here in Poland, I don't know if it's the same in like all around the world. But she's been referring to him as father. So does she want recognition of Shella's father? That would explain her beef with Pete as well. But in the flashbacks, she was fighting for the recognition of someone else completely. I don't know. I don't know, I'm gonna have to draw like a genealogic tree of their family and who wants to get recognition from whom. You're not going to help your friends? No. They don't need it. I mean, of your willingness to do whatever it takes, but your friend is in a lot of pain right now, so maybe don't do that. Is it really worth it? Apparently. Is it because I'm not his real daughter? Then I'll get my real dad back from them. I'll get my real dad back from them. Who's your real dad and who is them? You've always had everything, apparently. And yeah, you're using your kindness the wrong way. They are putting... This is like perfectly exemplifies Nanao's perspective. The biggest kindness to someone who's going through so much pain and just to fight you all out in earnest is to respond in kind. Not stop him. Not stop him. He's going through all of that pain to fight you with all of his might. So the biggest kindness is to fight back with all of your might. That's cool. I like it. I really like Nanao's perspective. Yeah, that's the kindness. His pain won't last long. We will win as soon as possible, and then he will no longer have to suffer. Perfect plan. And back to fighting in the next episode, alas. Next episode titled Duty. Whose duty towards what or whom? Shella's duty to her family? Possibly something along those lines. Stacy's duty towards her family? Maybe. This seems to be very much a McFarlane / Cornwallis family arc. That like general family, general clan arc. The beef that Stacy has with Michella and whatnot. Okay, that's cool. There we go. There we go. So, the previous episode was fun and mostly, I don't want to say mindless fun because it wasn't mindless, but it was that episode of a breather, very much so. And right now we are starting again with some pumping, blood pumping action, and that's cool. That's absolutely cool. That's great. Anything else that needs to be said? Really? Right, we have 13 episodes and 2 episodes of an OVA. That much we do know. Episode 10, so today's episode is the beginning of their combat. I assume episode 11 will be when their fight concludes, in whatever way it does conclude. But that would leave... No, wait, that wouldn't leave episode 12 in a weird position for a finale, because we have 13 episodes, not 12. So episode 12 could absolutely be a prelude to the finale, and episode 13 can absolutely be the finale, or, alternatively, episode 12 could be the fallout of their combat and mostly a wind-down episode, perhaps announcement of the results of the tournament and whatnot. Episode 13 is when something starts happening, some prelude to the actual finale that is contained in a 2-parter that is the 2 episodes of the OVA. Could be something along those lines. So yeah, I'm not fearful of how they will go from there. I'm not fearful of the pacing. I think they will do it well. I have no doubt, actually. Right. I wonder how much of my confusion regarding Shella's and Stacy's family can be explained by just adaptation woes. Perhaps the structure of their family was explained more in full in the source material, and thus I would be able to instantly recognize who's the uncle, who's the father, who are brothers, who are who and whatnot. I'm not sure. But I am really, really, really confused about what the fuck is going on there. Because no explanation I can find actually fits all of the variables. Right? Because if Stacy wants the recognition of Shella's father, then why did she also want recognition of her own father? And why is that in the in the flashbacks and not her trying to get recognition from Shella's father. But that remains to be the most likely thing that's happening. Again, don't spoil it to me in the comments, please. I assume the next episode it will actually be explained, so I will have my explanation straight from the horse's mouth. But it's interesting, it's curious. But I feel, again, like if it was perhaps more beat for beat with the source material, I would perhaps already know a little bit more about the situation. What else is there to say? I wonder. I think, honestly, that's mostly it. Quantitatively speaking, not all that much happened in this episode. We had the lab officially handed over to Katie by Vera. We met our new troll friend, and the second half was just fight. With Albright's motivation being not really something that needs discussing. He's strong, he wants to be the best, so he fights and he gets medals and he wants to be the best. There isn't really any backstory needed or anything of the sort. So it's not really worth spending time on talking about that. He doesn't have any personal beef with Oliver. He doesn't have any personal beef with Nanao. He's just kind of like Tullio in that he wants to fight strong people to prove just how strong he himself is. That's basically done deal. The biggest source of any theories so far would definitely be the blonde family, the blonde ringlet family, and all of their shenanigans that happen there. And also, I still don't know what is Katie's goal, actually. They are going around the labyrinth, I assume looking for specimen, but should they find some specimen, what does Katie intend to do with them? Does she just want to turn their hideout into a zoo where she just keeps all sorts of magical creatures in cages? Does she intend to experiment on them, continue Vera's legacy? I don't know. And that's another thing that I feel has been cut off from the adaptation, and that Katie had an actual full plan figured out and presented to the reader in the source material. And then there's the next episode, Duty. Duty. Another meaning of duty, another explanation for it that I didn't really take into account is Oliver's perceived duty to punish the killers of his mother. That could be, I guess, another angle, but would we really manage to fit the finale of their duel and the assassination of, I know, Enrico Forgieri, for example, into a single episode? I know. Maybe if we use the ending time and the after credits scene like it was in case of Darius. So probably not. It's probably not about Oliver. It's either Shella's duty, either Stacy's duty, and I can't really think of anybody else who would have any sort of a duty. So that's it. Maybe Marco's duty to Katie. I don't fucking know. But I don't think they would like kill off Marco this early as we met him. So yeah, I think that's it. There isn't really much point in me talking about things that I don't know what to talk about. So yeah, we should just probably end it right here. But maybe you guys have something more to add. And if so, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that? No spoilers. Please don't tell me about the relationships of the blonde family quite yet. Spoilers you can talk about in Discord here and also linked in the description below. It's free, open to everybody, so feel free to join. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases of not only Nanatsu no Maken ga Shihai Suru, but also Undead Girl Murder Farce, Magia Record, Helck, Zom 100, Ancient Magus Bride, and Atelier, Ryza, and others coming in the future. I also stream sometimes, so you might want to click the bell icon to be notified of when I go live. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon, link down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Magia Record, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, share my content, spread the word, costs you nothing, helps a lot. And with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's the list of my wonderful patrons: QB Without the Net, The Corporal Survivor, Yankai Judith Skirum, MZ Rainer, Racomancer, Marsh Fassel, Dr. Witgala, and Hans Peter. And you can join them without the need to keep a troll in your house.